It's not just NATO. You know who else didn't help us? South Korea didn't help us. You know who else didn't help us? Australia didn't help us. You know who else didn't help us? Japan.
For decades, when a U.S. president spoke, allies and adversaries both took every word seriously. And more importantly, it has always been a reliable signal of Washington's intentions. But now things are changing dramatically. Under Donald Trump's second term, credibility is diminishing fast, replaced by open dissent abroad and visible cracks at home amid the Iran war. From the Strait of Hormuz to his own Truth Social feed, Trump now finds each of his moves triggering backlash, not only from traditional partners like the UK, France, and Italy, but increasingly from within the MAGA base that once treated him as politically infallible. Trump's decision to order a total U.S. naval blockade of Iranian ports and shipping lanes in and around the Strait of Hormuz has left Washington almost alone, rather than at the head of a united Western front. The blockade, announced after talks with Tehran, collapsed and framed by Trump as a mind-clearing effort to stop Iran profiting from a vital energy choke point, is being widely portrayed in Europe as escalatory and legally questionable. In London, Prime Minister Keir Starmer has stated bluntly that the UK is not supporting the blockade and will not be dragged into the US-Israel conflict with Iran, insisting any British role would need a clear legal basis and a thought-through plan. While British minesweepers and anti-drone assets will remain in the region, the UK is instead working with France on an independent, strictly defensive maritime mission to restore freedom of navigation once fighting subsides, underscoring a widening gap with Washington. France, Spain, Turkey, and China have all criticized Trump's move or declined to back it. A rare moment where the U.S. calls for a show of strength in the Gulf has been met with coordinated distance rather than at least quiet alignment. For many European capitals, the spectacle of NATO and close partners openly refusing to join a major U.S. operation in such a critical waterway marks a stark departure from the reflexive support that once greeted American-led deployments. If the Hormuz split shows institutions pulling back, the row with Italy highlights how even Trump-friendly leaders are now willing to criticize him in public. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, a right-wing nationalist who has cultivated particularly close ties with Trump, issued a rare reprimand after he launched a tirade against Pope and followed it with an AI-generated image depicting himself as a Jesus-like healer. Meloni called Trump's words about the pontiff unacceptable, stressing that it is appropriate and normal for the Pope to call for peace and denounce war, especially amid the bloody conflict with Iran. Her statement came after Italy's political class, including figures within her own right-wing orbit, rallied to defend the Pope and questioned why the Prime Minister had been initially slow to challenge Trump, forcing her into a clearer break with Washington. The fact that criticism had to be dragged out of one of Trump's closest ideological allies in Europe speaks volumes about how politically toxic his latest outburst has become. In Catholic-majority Italy, the perception that a U.S. president is mocking or belittling the Pope, while also circulating imagery of himself as Jesus-like healer, has turned what might once have been dismissed as Trumpian theatrics into a full-blown diplomatic liability. Trump's now-deleted Truth Social image presenting himself in flowing robes, hand outstretched in a Christ-like healing pose, has provoked outrage well beyond liberal critics and the Vatican. Church leaders, conservative commentators, and Christian influencers have condemned the picture. Now, What alarms Trump's team more is the backlash that is visible inside his own ecosystem. In fact, multiple social media posts show once fervent MAGA supporters venting anger, with some saying, "Mr. President, you are losing me as a supporter." And this was in response to both Trump's Iran war rhetoric and religious imagery. Now the tension is magnified by Trump's concurrent fights with high-profile MAGA influencers over the Iran war, with figures like Tucker Carlson, Alex Jones, and many others publicly criticizing his approach and being branded losers and nut jobs in return. A project that was built on unshakable personal loyalty is suddenly showing visible fissures as ideological, religious, and foreign policy disputes all converge on the same flashpoints. Taken together, the Hormuz rebellion, Maloney's rebuke, and the Jesus image firestorm suggest a president increasingly surrounded rather than supported, at home and abroad. While Trump remains resolute in his quest to prove his supremacy, from his exchange with French President Macron to reiterating claims on Greenland and whatnot, the 47th President of the United States looks in no mood to back down, but at what cost? Where previous U.S. leaders could count on allies to quietly toe the line and on their base to close ranks in moments of controversy, Trump now faces open defiance in European capitals and open doubt on his own social network. In today's evolving world, leaders are doing things never seen before. Remember Javier Milei,